Man Hour Nation.
Are you ready for the best?
I pushed the wrong button. My bad. There we go. I'm still waking up. But anyways, guys, what's up? Michael Buckhouse here with the Man Hour. We start every morning with the shocked news, and the shocked news of the day is Hugh Jackson has officially been called a liar. If you guys do not know, the NFL, they concluded their 60-day investigation of Hugh Jackson's accusation of he was paid to tank games. Obviously, that has turned out to be a false statement from Hugh Jackson. Hugh Jackson, as you guys know, he was what was he? He was 3-6-31 as a head coach, 4 seasons with the Cleveland Browns. Allegedly, he was paid to tank for 2 seasons. So we sit back and relax and we ask ourselves, what about those other 2 seasons, Mr. Hugh Jackson? What happened to those other 2 seasons that you were just flat out terrible coach? And then, of course, he wants to jump on the Brian Flores whole suing the lawsuit situation with the NFL, right? So we sit back, we relax, and we join, and we think about this. If Hugh Jackson has been called a liar and has been proven to be a liar about tanking NFL games, what does that do for the Brian Flores lawsuit? Does that make this lawsuit ill and void, basically? Because when your key witness, per se, has been deemed a liar, what does that make Brian Flores? I'm not saying he is a liar, but I'm saying maybe he wasn't paid to tank games as well. Maybe he wasn't, racially profiled as he says he was. Only time will tell when that whole lawsuit starts to flourish in the end here. But obviously, Brian Flores is a linebacker coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers now. So how does that really help? It doesn't at all. So this whole Brian Flores case is complete trash. Hugh Jackson is a complete trash for being a liar. And he is a head coach for Grambling State University, a all-black college down there south, whether like in Alabama, I think they are, or something. What does this do for recruits? My man Wyatt is a young college student. I'll ask him when later when he jumps on the show. But if I'm a young high school recruit and I'm being recruited to Grambling State, and I know my head coach is a liar for playing to tank games, what is he doing to me? He's lying straight to my face, right? Whatever. Nonetheless, in the end, Hugh Jackson has been deemed a liar. He was not paid to tank games at all. And you know what? It's time to start the show. Man Hour Nation, cue that intro.
Are you ready for the best damn radio show on the planet?
Man Hour Nation, rise up.
Time, no. I would like to personally welcome you to Man Hour After Dark. Say that thing. While I bring you the host, Mike, Buck, and Cone. You know who coming to the list sports talk than what you about to hear right here. I second that.
Go. You know that it's us when we talking about sports. Giving you facts on the field to the core. Tune in, we need the support. 1 hour too short, then listen some more. On all your stations, not dropping no music. Starts like Adidas, but Nike just do it. Down 4 in the 4th, we go for the win. Michael 2 seconds, we taking it in. Buck, Mike, and Combs, you know what's going on. Man, now we're After Dark, no LA, we the big spark. No 4th and inches won't cut short. Got the best talking, it's all sports. Buzzing more than buzz beaters. We coming live, all 3 speakers go.
And what is up, Man Hour Nation? Michael Buckhouse here with the Man Hour. Be sure to head over to manhourradio.com and check out the merchandise page. We got some Nana merch coming because, truth be told, I am the favorite grandson now because Wyatt failed to mention to his grandma that he is now a part of the Man Hour morning show. So, Wyatt, welcome back to Man Hour. How does it feel to be the second favorite grandchild when I'm not even a part of your family?
It's tough. That's tough. It hurts.
Yeah.
But we're gonna make it through. I've spent 19 years on this planet as the favorite, so
yeah,
I don't think it'll be too hard to get that right back.
Only time will tell, just because I'm a very competitive person, Wyatt, and I do not let the number 1 space go very easily. But guys, we do have a great show for you lined up today. We have Way or No Way lined up. We got some NFL draft or some NFC North draft grades lined up as well. Of course, we're going to talk some Baker Mayfield, DeAndre Hopkins using drugs and still sucking in 2021. All that and much more coming up here on the Man Hour. But Wyatt, I got to ask you this question, man. How have you been? How is life? How is Florida? Because here in Indiana, it is raining like cats and dogs. I see some lightning flashing every every now and then. How's it in Florida? How has life been?
It's good, man. It's incredible, actually. I love school. School is a lot of fun. I always said that once I finally got to focus on what I wanted to in school, that I would be much better at school, and I was right. I actually got a almost $10,000 scholarship, so I got to pay a little bit of my parents' bill back. I was pumped about that. But yeah, no, I wake up every morning and I get to talk about sports, so I can't complain. and I live in Florida, in Orlando, where like there's so much to do. So I guess I can't complain. I just realized that I didn't even turn on my lights, so you can like barely even see my face. So
actually,
give me 1 second.
you look fantastic, Wyatt. You have the best hair ever. So guys, like I said, like we do got a pretty good show lined up for you. I'm not gonna raise your expectations. I'm not gonna say it's the best damn sports show like Combs does, but we do have a mediocre lineup for you today. And usually at 7:15 a.m. East Coast time, we are going to have Mr. Beastie Brandon Combs on the phone to talk some Chicago Bears and that kind of thing. But he is running MIA. So why it is just you and me flying solo here for the next 2 hours. And so are you ready to jump into it, man? Like, are you ready to buckle up and put on a Louisville Bats hat? Because that Cubs hat is really, really ugly. I'm just throwing it out there.
It's actually, I got a funny story about this hat.
Let's do it.
And it involves recently. So you may know that this hat looks like the same hat that I've had for the last like 6 years, right?
Yeah, and also I believe you got a new dog, right?
I did.
Yeah.
Well, this is actually my old hat, and it's great. I can wear it as a bracelet now because there's a giant hole in the top of it.
So you realize girls pay like $50 to have hats like that so they can put their ponytails up there, right? You should probably sell that.
That's what it actually it is. It is perfect for that. It's like it's right there.
Yeah.
You see me through it.
I can definitely see you through it. You are beautiful as the day you came out of your mom. Just like that.
Thanks.
All right, so let's talk some sports here. Obviously, the NFL draft has come and gone. Hour number 2, we will be breaking down all 4 NFC North teams of like the best draft picks, draft grades, and like all that stuff. But round number 1 was Thursday, Wyatt. There were 9 first-round trades. The first quarterback did not get drafted till number 20 to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Was this the most exciting draft, the first round of a draft that you have witnessed in the 20 years you have been on Earth?
Yeah, I think so. I was even talking about that the night of the draft with my friends, and we all were at my house for a little bit for the draft because, like I said, we were talking about earlier. Me and Nikki just got this dog, so it's kind of difficult at times to take her elsewhere because she wants to run around and be crazy and stuff. So we kind of have to do everything here. But yeah, no, that's what I was telling him. Was like, this is insane. This is pure insanity, the whole thing, and the fact that the insanity continued on to day 2. And even after, I mean, there was some undrafted free agent stuff that went on that I thought was pretty wild. There was some signings that weren't involved with the draft that were in wake of the draft. The Saints pick up Tyrann Mathieu because they didn't, go and get a safety in the draft. So yeah, this was a wild draft. It was a lot of fun. Super unpredictable. I will say though, I did predict the first, let's see, I think it was 4 out of 5 picks were correct. The one I didn't get correct was Stingley to the Texans. I thought for sure that the Texans would have taken one of the 2 tackles, either Icky or Evan Neal, but they're the Texans and they do everything wrong. So no, I'm just kidding. Actually, Stingley's
no, it is true.
He's going to be good.
They suck.
They do everything wrong. Yeah. They suck at the draft. It wasn't even the best cornerback on the board. I mean, you could have gone with Sauce Gardner, but like I said, Stingley's a dog. Stingley is going to be a centerpiece in the NFL. I really do believe that this year's like obscure positions that you never really see a lot of is what was so good this year. Like there were so many I think great defensive ends. There were so many great wide receivers. I mean, the fact that in the second round, Watson was still there for us to get some. Sky Moore was still there in the second round. Then you look at the first round guys. Olave, Wilson, Drake London is going to be awesome in Atlanta. So, there was just so many. There was so much depth, and it wasn't like any other draft that we've had in the last couple of years. There wasn't that quarterback depth, and there wasn't that 5 first round quarterbacks that we've seen in the last couple of years. So it was incredibly interesting. It was a wild draft.
Yeah. So I believe you shared a post where the first round is way too long, and I would rather watch Jameis play a game at quarterback than watch the NFL first round draft. But this is the first time ever that I was literally hanging on the edge of my seat just because there was so much talks about Deebo Samuel getting traded, and then this player getting traded, and then boof, out of the blue, AJ Brown ends up in Philly, and you're like, wow, what is going on next? This is what NFL draft needs to be. We need 12, 15, 25 trades in the first round. Give me that 10 minutes worth in between each pick. Give me some excitement, and that's exactly what was happening. You could not walk away and be like, oh, well, such and such is going to draft a quarterback because he is the next best person on the board, yada yada yada. And boom, this player got traded for a first round pick, and then the Ravens traded their first round pick to Brown, the Philadelphia. It was just wow, what is going to happen next? So let's talk about Hollywood Brown here, just because the Hollywood Brown did get traded to the Arizona Cardinals. But on the flip side of that coin, not even 4 days later, boof, DeAndre Hopkins gets suspended for 6 games for the use of PEDs. Last year was his worst season ever. Yes, he did miss 7 games, so I'm not going to take this too much away from the kid, but he had 500 yards receiving on 46 catches in 2021. But just the previous year, he had over 1,500 yards in 2020. So how bad is this 6-game suspension for the Arizona Cardinals and DeAndre Hopkins? Are they going to go 0-6?
No. Honestly, it depends on how their schedule turns out. I'll have to see that first, but I don't know if they go 0-6 because of it. Obviously, they're down a huge weapon and one of the top wide receivers in the league. So yeah, there's definitely going to be, some loss there, but with them picking up Marquise Brown, they've also got Zach Ertz, and they drafted a tight end. I can't remember who it was off the top of my board, or off the top of my head, not my board. Jesus, I can't remember who it was off the top of my head. But they drafted a tight end as well. I mean, and they've got some options in that offense. Kyler Murray's a nice dual threat, so they'll figure it out. And on top of that, Cliff Kingsbury he's like a Kyle Shanahan genius. He'll be able to scheme around. I mean, even last year, whenever he was out, obviously it didn't help the team. And Kyler Murray, we saw huge reductions in his game. I mean, I think his passer rating went down 30 or 40 points when DeAndre Hopkins wasn't in the game. There's a huge difference in that. But I will say they also added some nice pieces to their defense, to an already powerful defense. So I don't know if they go 0-6. I definitely think they see an effect, but I'll give them like a 3-3, 4-2 type thing. They're still a good talented team with a good defense. And the fact that they added Marquise Brown is not gonna fill that void, obviously, because he's not D-Hop, but it's gonna put somebody else out there that Kyler can throw the ball to.
Yeah, so when you add somebody like a Hollywood Brown, that was a number 1 receiver in Baltimore, and then he goes to Arizona, and he'll probably be a second or third receiver on this team. Do you think this is going to affect his psyche moving forward, or do you think Hollywood Brown will actually start to excel and catch the damn ball?
Yeah, I think that one I don't know. That one's going to be interesting. He definitely has had a case of the drops, but I think you can also credit the case of the drops on Marquise Brown to the fact that while he was in Baltimore, he was used for blocking more than he was catching. So I think that, that kind of gave him a tough time to adapt and be ready to effectively catch the ball and all that. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe he works past the drops. I think he will. I think Marquise Brown is a really good weapon, really fast wide receiver. And I think he could possibly work past it. It's what you're saying though. It's all about working past that psyche and the fact that he won't have to block as much anymore. I think that's definitely going to help. But I will say it also kind of helps too that he came from a team with a mobile quarterback, so he's already kind of, he's been a part of that offense, been a part experiencing snaps with a mobile quarterback, so he knows that if a play needs to be extended, Kyler Murray is second to Lamar Jackson in that category. So if a play, he does know, and Marquise Brown is already, because of his speed and because of his agility, he's already a tough guy to cover for more than 4 seconds. So if you give him some time, if Kyler can scramble around a little bit here and there, and find him downfield, that this could be a really big pickup for the Cardinals.
Yeah, it could be, but it won't, because we know that the Arizona Cardinals are complete dog trash in the end. And Kyler Murray, as you know, fifth-year options are like teams have to decide on fifth-year options for quarterbacks here in the next couple days, or for players in general in the next couple days. I have not heard if the Cardinals have offered that fifth-year option for Kyler Murray yet. Have you heard yet? I think they did. But do you think Kyler Murray is going to be worth that next big quarterback contract that we're seeing over and over and over?
Yeah. I think with him, especially last year, I mean, he didn't have the end to the season that he wanted last year, but he for sure was an MVP candidate for the first 8 weeks. Had his team as the number 1 seed in the NFC for a while until who took it over. But yeah, no, I think for sure that he's worth the money. I mean, he's a first overall pick, a possible MVP candidate every year, and he's a good quarterback with a lot of big play potential in him.
He might be a good quarterback on hindsight, and there's a lot of big potential, but at the end of the day, Wyatt, he is not a quarterback that is going to be worth that $100 million just because of the fact that how many playoff games has he won?
Nil.
Zero. And we all do know that Lamar Jackson is a trash quarterback, right? How many playoff wins does Lamar have? More than Kyler Murray.
He's got 2 now.
So therefore, Lamar Jackson is better than Kyler Murray, and Lamar Jackson is trash. So Kyler Murray, honestly, the Arizona Cardinals can move on from Kyler Murray this year with Colt McCoy, and they'll be just fine, Wyatt. I'm being totally honest about that. Just because
I missed that. I missed this.
You missed this.
Those Buck hot takes. I missed this.
But it is not a hot take, just because, yes, I do know that Colt McCoy was 3-4 as a starter, right, this past season. But if you give Colt McCoy the reins, a full off season, and then with a solid running game with James Conner and that other guy that they have, and then Hollywood Brown and D-Hop after his 6-game suspension with Zach Ertz, it would not surprise me if the Arizona Cardinals would be in the Super Bowl with Colt McCoy. I'm just putting it out there. 100%, Wyatt. 100%. Moving on from Colt McCoy and Kyler. Moving on from Colt McCoy and Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield is still a Cleveland Brown technically. Technically a Cleveland Brown. Obviously, Deshaun Watson is the starter there. And Kevin Stefanski says that Jacoby Brissett will be the backup. The draft is now over. We've seen the quarterbacks get drafted to said teams. Where do you think Baker Mayfield ends up?
I think draft night was a big thing for him too. I think I was really surprised that we didn't see him on day 1, day 2. I wasn't really that surprised. Once day 1 and day 2 went by, I wasn't that surprised that he wasn't there on day 3. But especially mostly day 1 and a lot of day 2, I was pretty surprised that Baker didn't get moved or shipped anywhere, especially with the fact that the quarterbacks weren't going off the board. I mean, like the fact that Desmond Ridder was the second quarterback off the board and Malik Willis didn't go until the 3rd round. I was confused. I was very, very, very confused. But yeah, I think it's definitely going to be pretty wild.
Yeah, so the fact that Baker Mayfield did not get moved in the draft, for one, shocked me right off the bat. Number 2, there are still teams out there that did not draft quarterbacks that need quarterbacks, i.e. Carolina Panthers, i.e.
Yep.
Carolina
got corralled, didn't they?
I thought, you might be right. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I have to go back and look. But either way, there are teams out there that needs quarterbacks still. Seattle Seahawks come to mind. Yes, the Seahawks signed Geno Smith to like a $7 million deal, right? Yes, they have Drew Lock, and they have Jacob Eason. And I thought Jacob Eason was going to be the franchise quarterback in Indianapolis, but for whatever reason, Jacob Eason is going to probably be a bust, even though he was like a 4th-round pick last year. So, but Baker Mayfield to Seattle makes the most sense in my eyes, just because Seattle is in a rebuild mode right now. They traded off Russell. They cut Bobby Wagner, right? DK is probably going to get traded, and Tyler Lockett is on the lather end of his career. So why not get a placeholder like Baker Mayfield? Make him prove it to you, and if he proves it to you this season, build around Baker, because I think Baker is a franchise quarterback in the NFL, in this league, and he's getting the short end of the stick on the Cleveland Browns, 100%. Like him being moved, or Deshaun Watson going to Cleveland is the ultimate smack in Baker Mayfield's face. Like, this should put a chip on his shoulder and piss him off 100%. So Baker Mayfield does play in the NFL this season. What team? I've been speaking high of the Seahawks. The Carolina Panthers have been linked as well. But I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm going to say he is a starting quarterback for the New York Football Giants by week 1.
I think they cut ties with Danny Dimes.
Because Danny Dimes is in his 5th year, right? I think Danny Dimes does ultimately get moved somewhere, whether it be Houston, whether it be to a team like San Francisco as a backup, but Baker Mayfield ends up in New York in a blue and red uniform for the football Giants, 100%.
Yeah, I find the Houston situation is pretty interesting, because I think Houston's a big suitor for Baker Mayfield, but they seem pretty gung ho and stuck on Davis Mills, which last year in the draft, I do too. I talked very highly of Davis Mills last year in the draft too, and he had a quiet 16 touchdowns, 3,500 passing yards and 10 picks, something like that. I mean, his numbers really weren't that bad, and especially if you look at the wide receivers that he was throwing to, he definitely shouldn't have had 16 touchdowns and 10 picks, especially with that offensive line too.
And he was the third quarterback on that roster and was throwing in the fire with a terrible head coach, a starting quarterback that didn't want to be there. So it's a very toxic situation, like anyways. And to be able to succeed there, you are exactly right. Like, if he can survive this year in Houston, he could be there for the next 10 years easily.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think if he can stick it out for this year and continue to put up good numbers, I definitely think that he could do something cool. And let's see. I was trying to brainstorm some other teams other than Seattle and Houston for Baker. and I'm really just kind of stuck on Seattle on that. I think Seattle's going to go out, especially since they didn't get a quarterback in the draft.
The only other team possibly that I could see making a jump at Baker would be a team in the NFC North, and that is the Detroit Lions, but I don't think they have the capital to part from Jared Goff. I mean, granted, they did get 2 first-round picks for him, right? Or did they give 2 first-round picks or get 2? I can't remember. But either way,
they got the picks, I believe.
Okay, so
I think they got 8 first-round picks, something like that.
Yeah, but either way, but
but they used it. They used it this year.
Yeah, I mean, Baker and the Lions makes sense ish, kind of. But I do, for some reason, I like Jared Goff too. Like, and I don't know why, but I do like Jared Goff. And
see, I've watched too many Jared Goff blooper reels now that
right.
I can't buy into that.
But if we really sit back and look here, there's really no market for Baker besides Carolina, besides Seattle, right? I mean, Giants is a stretch. Yeah. Giants are a stretch, and everywhere else he would be a backup at best.
Yeah, pretty much. I think what it's going to end up coming down to is I think nobody's going to trade for him, and I think that the Browns are going to have to actually cut their former round 1 pick 1 quarterback,
which is weird
really
because
where we're headed right now.
Because he freaking led them to the playoffs. He led the Cleveland Browns to the playoffs.
That's my argument too.
And last year, beat the Pittsburgh Steelers.
So bad.
yeah.
And everybody's talking about last year. Oh, he played so bad last year. He was hurt all last year. He had a shoulder injury all last year. You try throwing a football,
since week
200, 300 times. Yeah. On a messed up shoulder. I guarantee you stop throwing as well also. It's just.
And on the flip side of that, look at the cancer that he had in the locker room. Odell Beckham Jr. Odell Beckham Jr.'s dad put out like a 15-minute reel of like, oh, I'm wide open. Like, come on, like that is a toxic. He was in a no-win situation. It's just freaking ridiculous.
He was in Cleveland. That's what he was. That's what Deshaun Watson's quickly gonna find out. Like, oh man, I probably shouldn't have. Let me check here. They got a plane flight out of here, man.
Vegas, see the NFL draft?
What's going on? I don't like this anymore. This
This
isn't fun anymore. Once the Browns fans start critiquing him, and once he realizes that he is actually in one of the hardest and most upcoming divisions in football, it's not going to be all fun and games. Then it won't be all smiles then.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there are big things happening in the AFC North here, but there's also big things happening, Wyatt, in the NFC North, guys. So after the break, we get that much closer to the draft grades of the NFC North here. But on the other side of the break, we got the infamous Way or No Way. Way or No Way is brought to you by Shocked Energy. Link is in the description, guys. Use promo code MANHOUR to save yourself 20%. And also we get a little bit of kickback, and it helps Wyatt feed his dog and buy new Cubs hats. So, guys, sit back, relax, and enjoy this quick little break, and we'll be right back here with Way or No Way after this.
Hey, gang, it's Commissioner Cooper from TSS Fantasy. We are the fantasy show of the people. That means we give the people what they want. Expert fantasy advice, leading medical and legal analysis, free contests, and innovative games to keep you entertained. Watch us live with the Tiki Live app on the Belly Up Sports channel, subscribe to us on YouTube, or follow us on all social media platforms. Visit TSSFantasy.com today for all the latest updates from the fantasy show of the people. We put the fun in fantasy.
Yeah! I use mayo over sour cream, yeah.
Right. That's because you have high cholesterol. Okay. If you drafted Julio Jones,
you got ghosted.
This is amazing. TSS Fantasy is like an orgasm. If I had a cigarette, I'd smoke it. I'm pumped to be here. This is the show of shows.
TSS Fantasy, the fantasy show of the people.
I wanna be the best in the game, invest in my name, check no restraints, I'm obsessed with the pain. I ingest, I retain, assess and I change, possessed by the thought I'll be free one day from society's restraints, money, clout and fame, mud, disease, a plague. We all love to hate, have to play the game, have to make a name, all our insecurities are on display. This is war with the enemy, think that it was meant to be, living in a time where disease is on every screen. I won't let them fester me, I know most are festering. Negativity is a plague for the mentally weak. No mercy, all I got is working. Never stop searching, never quite so thirsty. I'm toxic and psychotic, with this logic, you can't stop it. It's been chronic since I was a boy, so neurotic and chaotic. Go! To last with the webs I'm weaving, I could change the past with all I'm achieving. Got my foot on gas, never stop competing. If you break like glass, then this life's gonna eat it.
And welcome back to Man Hour, guys. Michael Buckasher here with the Man Hour. Be sure to head over to manhourradio.com and check out the merchandise page, check out the blog section. Hey, guys, just check out the website in general. I've done a lot of work over there. We have all 32 NFL teams over there. We have blog writers for each NFL team as well. Actually, we only have 10. We're still looking for the other 22. So if you guys are interested in writing for blogs for your said NFL team, this is a paid position. So hit me up on Twitter at manhour_buck, and we'll get some stuff sliding your way. But I do got the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. Wyatt Williams. You can find him on Twitter at _Wyatt Williams on the old Twitter machine. He is back. We are doing a morning show, and Wyatt, I am super pumped to have you back on the show with me, man, because we just have fun together.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm pumped to be back on too. I was talking to Nana last night. She called me because I forgot to tell her that I was going back on. And I was like having flashbacks. I was like, oh my gosh, like Man Hour. I'm gonna be on Man Hour. Nana's watching. You know, it's like,
yeah,
oh, man, is this last summer?
Yeah, last
year in general.
Yeah, last summer, last year, we were making French toast. Tori was hitting on your grandma, being that sexy pool boy, and you had a little mustache happening. Whatever happened to that mustache, Wyatt?
I had to shave it. It's slowly coming back in though.
And the Nana said, to answer Wyatt, no, Nana can't get on either. I have up on the big screen at work and still trying on my phone too, but nothing. So guys, so apparently,
yeah, she just said she couldn't find it on Facebook either.
Yeah, so on my end, we use OBS is like how we translate stuff over to, you know, Apple TV and Roku and like all that stuff. Speaking of which, if you guys watch us on Roku TV, big shout out on Apple TV. Guys, come over to YouTube, youtube.com/manhour. That's where all the magic happens. But I see comments roll again. I see viewers, but for some reason on YouTube and Facebook, it's not transitioning right now. So I will try to figure this out for tomorrow. So we are live every Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. right here East Coast time on youtube.com. But Wyatt, this is a little game that I think you came up with, Way or No Way. Did you not? I can't remember. But anyways,
I remember it coming about. I don't remember if I came up with it. I think Combs came up with that one.
Well,
but I don't remember. I remember it coming about though. Yes.
Okay. Well, Wyatt is the inventor of Way or No Way. So all those people out there that do Way or No Way, those are all mocking my man Wyatt Williams _Wyatt Williams on the old Twitter machine. So tweet at him saying he is the originator of Way or No Way. But Wyatt, I have 6 questions here, and it's simple. I give you a statement, and it's a simple way or no way, and we chit chat back and forth and say why it's a way or no way. So are you ready for the infamous way or no way, my man?
I am ready.
All righty. So obviously the NFL draft is over, and the first quarterback off the board went number 20. Mr. Kenny Pickett went to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So when we look at the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback locker room right now, we have Mason Rudolph, Mr. Half a Helmet himself, Mitchell Trubisky, and then Kenny Pickett, and then Kenny Pickett. So Wyatt, way or no way, there is a open quarterback competition in Pittsburgh.
There's not an opening for the third stringer because that's taken by Mason Rudolph. That's a guarantee. I can promise you one thing, short of Mitch Trubisky and Kenny Pickett being hurt, Mason Rudolph does not take a single snap next year. I can go ahead and guarantee that right off the bat. So third stringer, no, that job is not open. But the starter, yes, that job is wide open. Now that one's really interesting to me because not only did they just acquire Mitch Trubisky, who was considered last year's, this is the best backup in the league. That was kind of the talk for Trubisky last year while he was in Buffalo. So yeah, I think it's definitely an open shot for sure. I don't know how long it is, unless if Kenny Pickett obviously plays like crap and Trubisky comes out and just balls out, then I think it's Trubisky's job for as long as he wants. But yeah, I think at the moment it's pretty much anybody's job right now. I think it'll totally come down to the OTAs, the preseason, all that stuff, and then most likely it'll end up being Mitch. So
Okay.
yeah, most likely it'll be a Mitch. I think for the start, but then I think obviously in the long term they spend a first round pick on.
So you are saying
way
there is an open quarterback competition in Pittsburgh right now. I'm going with the exact opposite. Opposite. Wyatt. I'm going to go with no way. Mitchell Trubisky was brought there to be a placeholder in Pittsburgh when they draft a quarterback, and then next year that quarterback then can now be a starter. So I am a firm believer that all rookie quarterbacks should sit the bench for a year. Yes, I know Soup Boss came with the big old stats and say rookie quarterbacks that play the first year versus the second year, the first year players obviously have more success. Yada. I don't care about that. You can have all the success you want, but it's long-term longevity that I'm looking at. That's why Kenny Pickett has to sit this first year. That is why Mr. Trubisky will be the starter all season in Pittsburgh, because Kenny Pickett is basically going to have a red shirt NFL year when it comes down to. Hell, he might even be the third string quarterback on that list because Mason Rudolph, Wyatt, is a proven starter in the league. He is a proven starter in the league. Yes, he will never start another NFL game as long as nobody gets hurt, but he has more starts than Kenny Pickett, right? So the correct answer is no way. There is no quarterback competition right now in Pittsburgh. This is Mitchell Trubisky's job. Unless he totally shits the bed, breaks his leg, and rapes a 16-year-old girl, this is his job, 100%. That was a Ben Roethlisberger joke, if you didn't catch that, Wyatt. Don't you remember Ben Roethlisberger having like sexual relations with like a 16-year-old girl when he was a rookie?
Yeah, there was a lot.
All right. So the next way or no way here, Wyatt. Once again, this is a draft-fueled question here. The Tennessee Titans drafted Malik Willis at pick number 86. He was the projected number one overall quarterback off of the board. He was drafted by the Tennessee Titans. Ryan Tannehill's contract is up at the end of the year with the Tennessee Titans. Way or no way, this is Ryan Tannehill's last season in Tennessee.
Way, 100%. I think not just with the draft of Malik Willis. The second that I saw A.J. Brown got shipped out of town, I kind of knew, like, hey, it's time for the new era. And I don't think the Titans thought that by any stretch of their imagination that Malik Willis would end up being there in the third round. I don't think that they had any, idea that they could have, used a third round pick on that guy. So this is a major steal for them. And yes, I do believe that this will be a good year for Tannehill, though. This is his pay year. This is where he shows other teams, hey, I still got it, even without, Julio Jones and A.J. Brown to throw to, and Jonnu Smith, even though he left last year. But, this is his, prove it year for the teams that want to pick him up, because we've seen a recent rise in this. Teams are like, hey, we're just a quarterback away. So instead of drafting quarterback, trying to find the right piece and wasting this team away, why don't we trade for a guy like a Matt Stafford? Obviously Matt Stafford's not up and available, but why don't we trade for a veteran quarterback who isn't happy where they're at and wants to go elsewhere? Matt Ryan would have been, I think, a really good candidate for something like that, even though he's already gone to Indy now. So yeah, I think we could see Tannehill being pushed elsewhere, somewhere that's ready to win place but doesn't have a quarterback. So if everything doesn't pan out this year with Washington, with Trubisky, and I don't remember who they drafted. They drafted a quarterback too, I'm pretty sure. But with Washington could be a possible suitor next year. But yeah, I think this is it for Tannehill in Tennessee.
Yeah, so even well before the draft, rumors of Ryan Tannehill basically being shipped out of town was, out there for the Tennessee people to be hearing, right? Jimmy G was coming to town. Jameis Winston was coming to town. Baker was coming to town, right? List was going on and on. Hell, Aaron Rodgers was coming to town because he bought land out like right outside of town, right? So for whatever reason, people do not like Ryan Tannehill, but ever since he has left Miami and has been the guy in Tennessee, he does nothing but win games. He gets better and better each and every year. Yes, he is giving the ball off to King Henry, but last year King Henry missed 10 games last year, I believe it was. And Ryan Tannehill carried that team. He put them on the back. He said, hold my beer. Watch this. They were still the number 1 seed in the AFC. Granted, they did get beat by the Cleveland Browns the first playoff game. Not the Browns, of the Cincinnati Bengals. So I don't understand why they want to ship a player like Ryan Tannehill out. Like, it is completely stupid. But the answer to the question is wait. Why, you nailed it right on the head. They are moving on from the old regime. AJ Brown, King Henry, he is on his last legs. He has been in the league now for 7 years, right? So a life of a tailback is up there. And so why not build around a young rookie quarterback, Malik? Perfect, right? Basically what they want to do, they want a flashy guy that is mobile and can put asses in the seats, and they're going to build a brand new stadium out there. So definitely move on. So Wyatt, you nailed it. This is Ryan Tannehill's last season in Tennessee. But on the flip side of that coin, I don't see a team where he lines up to go to, much like Baker. Yes, Baker is a good player, but I don't know a team that is, quote, a quarterback away, and I wouldn't put Ryan Tannehill in that category as a quarterback away.
Yeah, no, I don't know necessarily if he is of the last 2 quarterbacks that we've seen switch teams and win Super Bowls, being Tom Brady and Matt Stafford. I don't think he's up to that quality, but I definitely think there'll have to be somebody that takes Ryan, because while he's not
Tampa Bay,
he's not. Maybe, I don't know though. I don't know if I was pretty surprised they didn't snatch up Willis. Actually, I was really, especially with that day 2. They had the first pick of day 2. I was stunned when I saw he made it. When I saw Malik Willis made it through day 2 in general, I was like, holy crap! Like, Seattle was there at the top of that. Yeah. There were a lot of teams that needed a quarterback that didn't. But yeah, I mean, Tampa Bay possibly. I mean, it depends on if they stick with Kyle Trask. That'll be the deciding factor on that one. And like I said, I think if Carson Wentz in Washington doesn't work out, that could possibly be a suitor, because we've literally seen 3 different teams in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
This, what would be a 4th next year.
Yeah.
So,
all
yeah,
right.
I don't know. Washington could be a possible suitor.
Yeah, so only time will tell. But to bring up the Buccaneers point, I think Jimmy G is going to Tampa Bay next year, because why not follow in Tom Brady's boots wherever he goes?
Can you imagine?
Right?
Can you imagine? Yeah. Can you imagine if Jimmy G ends up like predecessing Tom Brady anyway? Like, Tom Brady shipped him out pretty much of New England just for it to come full circle, and they'll meet here. It was up here. It'll come full circle right here in Tampa.
Yep.
And they'll take him out in the Tom Brady career.
Yeah. So moving on here. Moving on to the next way or no way here. This is a quarterback that is very near and dear to your heart, Mr. Aaron freaking Rodgers himself. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers signed a huge contract this offseason, making him a very, very high-paid man in Green Bay, but ultimately it ended up shipping out DeAndre Hopkins. In a interview, I believe it was on the Pat McAfee show, Aaron Rodgers says he quote, knew nothing about the Davante Adams trade before he signed his contract, and he wouldn't have signed it if he knew this. So Wyatt, way or no way, Aaron Rodgers is simply just trolling us.
He's just trolling us. I didn't even see that. The only thing I saw when he first signed it. It was 2 days after. I saw that he knew that Davante Adams was going to leave, and that's when I was like, if Davante is leaving and he's still re-signed, I was like, dang, that's first off, that's dedication to the pack, and second off, I was kind of confused by that. I was like, man, I don't know why if we're losing our go-to guy on offense, then why don't we just, stop and reset? But then I realized that he is Aaron freaking Rodgers, and we'll talk about the draft later, but I was pretty satisfied with that second round pick. So I don't know. I think a lot of people are underestimating how good the Packers will be next year.
Yeah, so, I do concur with
Aaron's
that.
probably just trolling. If he said that, Aaron's just trolling. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to go with no way as well, because the only reason why Aaron Rodgers signed this deal is because he knew that Davante Adams was going to leave town and he had a opportunity to play with other players. And, on the surface here, people might think that Davante Adams and Aaron Rodgers was all peachy queen and hanging out and best buds, yada, yada, yada. But truth be told, did we ever see them outside of the football field hanging out together? No, we did not. Why at all? Jordy Nelson and Aaron Rodgers were connected at the hip. I saw Aaron Rodgers many times at softball tournaments in Manhattan when Jordy would come. Jordy would bring down Aaron Rodgers, Donald Driver, and a few other guys, right? So we did not see that relationship of Davante Adams and Aaron Rodgers in the end. So 100% Aaron Rodgers was probably the ringleader of trading away DeAndre Hopkins, because rumor has it that he wanted the Raiders tied in. What's his name? Darren Waller, I think his name was. Yeah. And so why not ship him out and bring Darren Waller in? It makes perfect sense. So no way Aaron Rodgers did not know about this. This is a complete trolling act, and Aaron Rodgers is the best troll out there. Why? I mean, like hands down, right?
He's a professional troll.
100% professional troll. Moving on to the next one here, Wyatt. We are going to talk a little bit about the New England Patriots, as much as that makes me puke in my mouth a little bit. But the New England Patriots arguably had the worst NFL draft ever. In the fourth round, they drafted a quarterback by the name of Bailey Zapp. He is a Western Kentucky quarterback here. So way or no way, the Patriots literally wasted their fourth round pick on a quarterback that will never see the light of day.
No, I disagree on this, because I like Bailey Zapp. I think Bailey Zapp is a good option for a backup quarterback. He's a dude that's going to be like Josh McCown, Ryan Fitzpatrick. I think he's going to be a solid guy who can be anywhere. He's going to be a great clipboard holder for any team that he goes to. And you never know what happens. And New England is huge on doing weird things in the draft. That's just their MO always. I mean, what was it? They took a Division II safety a couple of years ago. I don't even remember what school he went to. This year they took Cole Strange out of Chattanooga, a guy that was supposed to be there on day 3. So them taking Bailey Zapp doesn't really surprise me that much. And no, I think that Bailey Zapp, the worst time to need something in life is whenever you don't have it. So let's say Mac Jones goes down for a week or two and they need 2 wins. Bailey Zapp can be that guy to come in and get you 2 wins, sustain you enough to keep you in the playoff hunt, keep you in the playoff race for Mac Jones to get back and be healthy. Or if Mac Jones is out for the year and Bailey Zapp gets an opportunity, I think Bailey Zapp could possibly be a starter for a little bit in the league. I think Bailey Zapp is actually a pretty good quarterback.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but the New England Patriots already have a backup quarterback. What is the guy's name? Really old guy that's been there. Jared Stidham. But they also have Brian Hoyer. And they just signed Brian Hoyer to another 2 or 3 year deal, if I'm not mistaken. So they have Brian Hoyer, Mac Jones, Jared Stidham, and then they draft another quarterback in the fourth round. This was the dumbest thing that you could possibly do in my mind, because now you have to cut one of those players because you're not going to have four quarterbacks on the roster at like in the end. You're going to have 3. Are you going to cut Brian Hoyer, a quarterback that you just gave like $10 million to? No. Are you going to cut Jared Stidham, a quarterback that you drafted 2 years ago? He was a 2nd round pick, right? Or even a 3rd round pick, maybe.
He was he was something like that.
So basically, you either wasted your 2nd or third round pick on Jared Stidham that never saw the light of day, or you wasted a 4th round pick on Bailey Zapp. So,
you wasted it on both.
Or you did it on both?
I said, or you wasted it on both.
True. Maybe.
What if they both never play?
They both never play. Or think about this. Kansas City Chiefs loves picking up New England Patriots sloppy second quarterbacks. Mac Jones, or let's flashback to a couple years, maybe 15 years ago. Tom Brady tears his ACL week 2 versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Matt Castle comes in and lights it up. The Kansas City Chiefs like, hey, Matt Castle, come to Kansas City. We'll give you $80 million and you can win 2 games for us. I'm just
Matt Flynn and Green Bay.
Right. Yeah, Matt Flynn and Green Bay, right? Yeah.
Matt Flynn, man. What a guy.
Yeah, whatever.
Holds it down for us.
So, yeah.
Seattle's like, let's give him $80 million. He held it down for 8 games.
No.
Give him $80 million. 8 games, $10 million a game.
Did he even start? Because Russell Wilson was drafted that same year, and I think Russell Wilson started the first game, right?
He never started. I think he may have started a game, but he didn't start more than 3. There's no way. Because Russ was drafted in the 3rd round, and that's when Russ was taken, and everybody was like, man, how did he fall that far? And because everybody was like, because he's shorter. Yeah. Then they saw Russell play in the preseason. They were like, okay, this guy's pretty good. And then they threw him in the regular season. They were like, this guy's a Hall of Famer. Okay. All right. Well, let's just keep this guy in. He's pretty good at what he's doing.
He's pretty good. And we're going to send Matt Flynn back to Green Bay and pay him $16 million to play for another team.
Matt Flynn, you can Matt Flynn, you can kick rocks, buddy. Go see what the other side of the door looks like. Smell it for me. How's it smell?
Isn't it crazy how like quarterbacks like Matt Flynn and Nick Foles can because like Nick Foles signed a huge deal with the Arizona Cardinals, right? Didn't even last a season. And he went back to Philly and then won a Super Bowl. It's just crazy, like how people go back to the same team that got traded from. I don't know. It's just weird to me. But anyways,
yeah. Honestly, that's another guy. I wouldn't be surprised if he made his way back to Philly again. I really wouldn't, because he just got cut yesterday, actually, from the Bears.
Oh, did he? I did not hear that.
No, yeah, he got cut. He got cut yesterday from the Bears. I don't think he goes back this year, because they just picked up EJ Perry and Carson Strong. Both of those guys were undrafted free agent quarterbacks who I have no clue how they both didn't get, especially Carson Strong. EJ Perry I kind of get, but Carson Strong I was extremely confused as to why he didn't get drafted at all.
Yeah.
So Philly, for picking up both of those guys, that was huge. Carson Strong has got an awesome arm, and if you look up the East-West Shrine Bowl from this year and see EJ Perry just command that game as a field general, his arm looked spectacular. Just because he went to a smaller school, though, he didn't get the looks. He went to smart boy. He went to Brown. He went to Boston College first, then transferred to Brown. So, yeah, Philly. I think Philly could possibly bring Nick Foles back too.
and then winning a Super Bowl, Blake Zinder would be on cloud 9 at the How could that
He'd be
happen?
on cloud 12 at that point. He'd be on I've seen what that guy looks like when his team wins the Super Bowl. That's cloud 20. That's not it. That surpasses cloud 9.
Yeah, I mean, he's on cloud 9 just like when they win 4 games in a year. Like I couldn't imagine winning a playoff game.
Exactly. Yeah, he's on cloud 9 when they win a game. Every game when they win, he's on cloud 9.
Yeah, and he always texts me,
you know, and when those
F you, Buck. I'm like, okay, man. All right, Wyatt. So the final way or no way before we head to our next break here. This is obviously another draft related question here. So Deebo Samuel has informed the 49ers that he wants to be traded, aka released, or he doesn't want to play in San Francisco anymore. Many people speculated that he was going to be a draft day trade as well, but obviously he did not get traded this draft. Teams that have come out and said that they ultimately want Deebo Samuel are the Jets, Panthers, Packers, and the Kansas City Chiefs. This is a huge week in the NFL, Wyatt. Does, way or no way, Deebo Samuel get traded this week?
No way. From what I have heard, Deebo Samuel is not going anywhere because the 49ers apparently want an arm, a leg, a kidney, half of a brain, and a lot of first and second round picks for him to even consider him being touched. So yeah, I don't think he gets moved. I think he's gonna end up having to make a decision of, does he play or does he not this year? Or does he sit on the bench in old San Fran?
Yeah, so this raises red flags to me, just because when a player openly says, I do not want to be here anymore, and then the team's like, you know what? F you, you are staying here. We aren't giving anything for you. This instantly causes a rift in the locker room 100%. Usually when a player openly says that he wants to be traded, within the next week or two, he is out the door, right? A.J. Brown, Odell Beckham Jr., Matthew Stafford, right? The list goes on and on and on. People that openly say that they want out, they are usually out within the week because they know there's going to be a cancer in the locker room if they don't. Now, right. This draft, the Kansas City Chiefs had 12 picks. They got 6 picks for Tyreek Hill. They offered those 5 picks plus McCall Hardman to the San Francisco 49ers, and they said no. This is the dumbest thing that the San Francisco 49ers could have ever done, just because the trade value for Deebo Samuel has gone way down. So no way they will trade him this week, but way they will trade him by week 1 of the NFL season. But they are not going to get what they wanted for, like you said, the kidney, the leg, and 12 picks, right? And it's not going to happen because it's going to become push come to shove, and we got to get this cancer out of the locker room. And hey, let's trade Baker for Odell, or Baker for Samuels. Like that's kind of what it's going to come down to. Is like, will you give me a first round pick? So no way he gets traded this week, but ultimately he will be traded because he is going to have to be. If he truly wants out, he will raise hell. Look what Terrell Owens did in Philly. Sit-ups in the parking lot, right? Like, if a player really wants out, Wyatt, he is going to get out one way or the other. What do you think Deebo ends up if he does get traded?
Well, I would love to give you the homer pick of
it makes sense.
Packers.
No,
but
like it makes
does,
sense.
It does make sense, but I don't think after the draft it does. I think if we had 2 first-round picks, our golden opportunity was the draft to make a move on Deebo. I don't think we can now. We don't have that extra first-round pick to spend now.
How about this?
So I don't know.
Deebo Samuel, Jimmy G for Aaron Rodgers.
No way.
You wouldn't do that?
No way.
Do you think Deebo wants out of San Francisco because of Jimmy G or because of actual usage on the field?
Yeah, I think it probably is usage. I think he was pretty upset about that, wasn't
right.
he? He didn't want to be a running back at all anymore.
Well, he didn't want to pay like mean, he didn't want to take the wear and tear on his body, what it comes down to, because being utilized the way he did is tough on your body. And, you know, the 49ers were offering to pay him very, very, very well. And he said, no, I just want to be used less. So I think he will ultimately be gone in San Francisco, whether it be to a team like the Panthers that are willing to give him the farm, or a team like the Kansas City Chiefs that have assets to trade as well. So
the Panthers, that's a nice fit. I just thought about that. The Panthers would be nice, or the Chiefs would be nice too. Yeah, the Chiefs would be really nice.
Chiefs would have been nice pre-draft, but now that they drafted some dogs from the MAC, I'm not sure how that's going to work. But guys, we are up against the next break here, coming up on hour number 2. Wyatt, we're going to talk about your NFC North. We're going to give draft gauge for each NFC North team. So guys, sit back for that for hour number 2. It's break time. We'll be back in a second. There you go. I pushed the right button this time. Nice.
Hey gang, it's Commissioner Cooper from TSS Fantasy. We are the fantasy show of the people. That means we give the people what they want. Expert fantasy advice, leading medical and legal analysis, free contests, and innovative games to keep you entertained. Watch us live with the Tiki Live app on the Belly Up Sports channel, subscribe to us on YouTube, or follow us on all social media platforms. Visit.
Brought to you by Brooks Roofing and Siding. Contact them at 812-868-7663 or online at brooksroofingin.com. Brooks Roofing and Siding. Protection you need when nature strikes.
And welcome back to the Man Hour, guys. Michael Buckheist along with the Wyatt Williams. You guys can find us on the old Twitter machine at manhour_Buck and of course _Wyatt Williams. You guys can find us on Twitter, tweet at us, follow us, all that good stuff, because that is where we get most of our content. The way or no ways, the burning questions, the factor craft, or would you rather, guys. I pull those all from the old Twitter machine. So tweet at me, you give me those hashtags, and bada bing, bada boom, it is time to party. But Wyatt, this is our first show together in, it's been almost a year probably since we've done 10 months, hasn't it? Since it's just been me and you. I mean, it's been a long freaking time.
Yeah, since it was just me and you, because all summer it was me, you, Combs, and Tori.
Yeah.
So since it was just me and you, yeah, it's been about a year. That's it.
Yeah. So
May now.
How
Isn't
do
it
you?
crazy that it's already May? Did you think about that yet?
Yeah.
I thought about that yesterday. I was like, it is May the 2nd.
Yeah.
What?
May. Yeah. It's May the 3rd. The 3rd now, Wyatt. Rise
No,
and
I said
shine.
yesterday. I thought about
yeah.
that.
Yeah. Well, the only reason why I know it's May is because Friday I'm going to get stupid drunk about 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to go watch ponies run around in circles and waste a lot of money that I don't have, and hopefully it doesn't rain.
Oh, you guys going to the Derby?
We're going to Oaks, yeah. We're going to Oaks on Friday.
Oaks? Oh, you said Friday. Okay, yeah, that's awesome. Are you taking the boys?
Haven't decided yet because I
Cindy.
haven't decided how drunk I'm going to get yet. So, I will let you know when I open up my first beer at 8 a.m. like at the house, like how well the day is going to go. So,
see, I'm confused now about Derby because I don't know what I'm doing. Like my entire life, we've always had, we just went to Blake's house for their Derby party, or we went, somewhere for the Derby party. But now, none of my friends watch the Derby.
So
they're just like, some of them don't even know what it is.
So Wyatt, me being a transplant, like I'm not from Indiana or the Kentucky area. I'm from Kansas, right? And I knew what the Kentucky Derby was, right? But I didn't realize it was such a festival until when I moved here. I'm like our town literally shuts down for 2 weeks for stuff leading up to a race that lasts for like a minute and a half. Like it is like you have steamboat races, you have the marathon, you have the rubber duck race, and like you have the
Thunder. Don't you forget Thunder.
Yeah, like you have the fireworks show that lasts for like an hour. Like it just goes on and on and on and on. And then you have the balloon races. Like there's stuff happening like every day, and there's just like if you weren't from here, like you don't realize like how big a deal it actually is. And
it's huge,
it's very awe-striking to me that people want to openly go to the hood of Kentucky and wear big fancy hats.
Churchill Downs is in a rough area.
I agree with you on that. It is terrible.
It is rough over there, dude. The second you leave Churchill Downs, it's like, was that a gunshot? What was that? Like,
no, it was just a needle on the ground. Like, don't worry about it. But
no kidding.
But so
I saw.
Go ahead.
I saw a meme the other day. It was like a Kentucky. It was like one of those Facebook memes, that everybody reposts. And I saw it on like a Kentuckiana meme thing or whatever, and it was like, "Are we the only people who get ready? Who come out at 8 a.m. to watch a fireworks show that's at 10 o'clock p.m. for a horse race that's in 2 weeks that's only lasts 2 minutes?" Yes, we are. This is Kentuckiana.
Yeah. So let me ask you this question: since you are in Florida now, you are with people that have never really indulged in this horse racing atmosphere. Are you going to try to have a derby party at your house? Are you going to try to like, hey guys, watch this. This is cool.
100%. Yes. And all my friends sports bet too. So they're going to love it. They don't know they're going to love it yet, but they will.
Yeah.
If you like sports betting, horse betting is it's horse betting. It's sports betting. You're betting on horses that race. It's sports.
Isn't it weird
and
that
it's only lasts 2 minutes?
Yeah, it's
go ahead.
Yeah, you know all about lasting for 2 minutes, right? But isn't it weird that horse betting happens in Kentucky when you can't legally bet sports in Kentucky?
I've always been confused by that. I don't. Yeah, sports betting is illegal in Kentucky,
right?
But you can bet on horses at Churchill Downs. Here's an even better one. At 18, I can go fight for my country. At 18, I could go buy cigarettes. At 18, I could go buy a lottery ticket, but I can't sports bet at 18. How does that make sense?
Yeah.
I can go buy a lottery ticket, which is completely chance, has nothing to do with knowledge, has nothing to do with research. It's all completely randomly based. There's no research you can do to, be ready for it. There's nothing you can do, but I can do that. I can go buy a scratch off right now that has zero, research based to it or knowledge based to it. I just have to take a coin and scratch it. But if I know something about sports, I can't bet on it. That is never made sense to me. But I can go buy cigarettes too. I can go buy cigarettes.
So you can download the FanDuel app and bet in Indiana at the age of 18 but you can't do it in Florida. Like Florida, you got to be 21, right?
No, I think Indiana's 21. Indiana's 21 as well. I couldn't bet when I was in India. Yeah, because that's what I turned 18 last September, and I got all excited. I was like, all right, bring on the sports betting. And I got on there, and they had me put in my Social Security. That was fine. They had me submit my ID and my date of birth, and that's whenever it lit me up. It was like, you're under 21. And what it does is when you do that, it remembers your Social Security, so you cannot join until you're 21. You literally cannot.
That is so dumb.
And that's so stupid. So now if I wanted to, if I use my parents' date of birth or something like that, it would not let me. It is latched onto my account on there, my Social Security number. It shows that I'm not 21. I was like, you gotta be kidding me right now.
That is absolutely
so
crazy.
Stupid.
Even if you get like a new, even if you get a new phone, you can't like skew the system.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. No. Because it has to do with the Social Security number. The second I put in my Social Security number on any device, it'll immediately light up and be like, this person's date of birth is 9/26/02. They're not 21 yet.
Dude, you were born in 2002.
Yeah.
Man, I was balls deep in my baby mama at 2002. That is crazy, man. Anyways, speaking of crazy, the NFL draft was crazy, Wyatt, and we know exactly that you are a NFL draft buff, and right now we are going to basically give grades and best and worst draft pick of the NFC North, and we're going to start with your Green Bay Packers. The many people think that the Green Bay Packers nailed this draft. So Wyatt, how do you think the Green Bay Packers did this draft?
So first off, heading into it, a lot of people were not satisfied with day one, including myself. Honestly, I was even like, a little confused. But looking back on it, I always like to take a day with the Packers drafts and realize like, hey, the Packers don't draft for flash, for bang, for boom. They draft for, we're going to get the best quality player on the board, a dude who's going to come here and play football for a long time and is going to be really good at it. So with that being said, I watched the tape on Quay Walker. I've watched some tape on Devontae Wyatt, and I think day one, we really did a good job. At our picks at 22 and 28, I don't think there was a wide receiver there that was worth taking, considering that literally from 22 on, the next wide receiver taken was 34.
Right.
Christian Watson to the Green Bay Packers. Now, that pick is really interesting because a lot of people are like, Pickens was on the board there. Sky Moore was on the board there. This guy is 6'3", 210 pounds. And the biggest reason why I'm telling you that the Green Bay Packers selected him, I can tell you right now, it all makes sense. I realized this the other day. He wore green and gold in cotton. No, I'm just kidding. He's from North Dakota State. He knows how to play in the cold. That right there, he's got 4 years experience of playing in the cold. When it comes December time in Green Bay, it is cold. It's really, really, really cold. And a lot of people aren't used to that. That was something that Devontae Adams, a California boy, was like, man, I never really got used to it. Well, Christian Watson played at North Dakota State for the last 3 or 4 years. So he is used to it now. He knows what that cold is like. All right. His team name was literally the Bison. Okay. And then let's see. Also here with the third round pick, I liked Sean Ryan there from UCLA. He's a really universal offensive lineman. You can put him at guard, you can put him at tackle. He's he started multiple positions in college. He's going to be a plug and play guy for us. He's going to be a guy that I think will be a starter. But he'll be a starter when other guys get injured until he kind of develops into whatever he develops into. He could be a 16 to 17 game starter every year. He could be a little less than that, but I don't know. That's an interesting one to me. I think that Sean Ryan's going to take a little bit of developing, but I think he could be a really good piece to our offense. Also, I liked Romeo Doubs out of Nevada. He was Carson Strong's number one guy in Nevada, and an all around solid wide receiver. I like that we went with size for the two wide receivers. That's kind of something that I think we were on the down with. So Dowds was pretty good. I was excited about that. Kingsley Ingber out of South Carolina. Liked him as well. That's a nice pickup there for the defensive end position. I'm working down here. Last one. Let's see. Wide receiver Samori Toure out of Nebraska. Another good wide receiver pick. I was satisfied with that one. But with that being said, my top pick was the Christian Watson pick of North Dakota State, simply because we traded up to get him. I mean, he's basically at that point, obviously he's a second round pick, but at that point, that's pretty much like another first round pick. He was the next wide receiver taken off the board, since pick 21. At pick 21, there wasn't another wide receiver taken off the board until Watson at 34. So I was a big fan of the trade up. And as soon as I saw that trade up, I was in the Target parking lot. I saw us trade up. I got the Twitter notification and I was like, oh my God, it's a wide receiver. I've got to get to the draft. So I turned it on my phone and sure enough, Christian Watson. And I guess I'm a big fan of Christian Watson. I really like what the Packers did with this draft. So overall, I gave him an A. I think we added a lot of solid pieces to the defense. Quay Walker and Devontae Wyatt are going to be nasty. We're pairing them with Rashawn Gary, Preston Smith, Kenny Clark. There's a lot of and Devondre Campbell at the linebacker position, as well as the three offensive linemen we draft are all really universal guys. They're all guys who started multiple positions in college, so they're guys that you can plug and play in your offense. You can throw them anywhere. This was more or less just a depth draft. And then I really think we got the star power with Christian Watson. A lot of people are underestimating how good I think he's going to be. And I'm really excited to see Aaron Rodgers throwing in the ball. So my overall draft grade for the Green Bay Packers was an A.
Yeah. So on the flip side of the coin, the Green Bay Packers are notorious of taking second and third round wide receivers and making them into studs. Devontae Adams, Donald Driver, Jordy Nelson, right? The list goes on and on and on. Now, are we saying that Christian Watson is going to be the best receiver in the NFL? I don't know. Only time will tell because it took Adams 3 or 4 years to really acclimate to the NFL. Sorry.
Yeah, it took Adam. It took Adam 7. It took Adams like 6 or 7 years. I mean,
right.
He's been in the league for a little bit. It took him a good time. There was I'd say 3 years ago. I wouldn't say 3 years ago we almost dropped him because he had a case of the drops.
Right.
So there was a quick second there where it looked like Devontae Adams wasn't going to be on our team anymore, but they were like, no, let's give him 1 more year. And I don't know what happened in that 1 more year, but he decided that he was the best wide receiver in the NFL now.
Yeah,
that he was done with that. So he was going straight forward with that.
Yeah, well,
and it was Aaron Rodgers picking up play.
Well, that was also the time that he became the number one receiver on the Packers because at that time Jordy was still there, right? So Jordy was still
Jordy was there.
Jordy was still the guy.
Randall Cobb still there
right.
too.
So but this is the only bad side about this Christian Watson pickup here is because those names that we just mentioned, Devontae Adams, Jordy Nelson, right? They had a number one receiver to come in and help them learn the position, learn how to run routes, learn how to do this, and this. Christian Watson may not have that. You can say Randall Cobb might be that guy, but there is not that number one receiver on the Green Bay Packers to really teach him, right? Why or do you think there is a guy that can teach him the ways?
No, I would say the only person that could teach him the ways is Randall Cobb. I will say there is a lack of veteran receivers on the team, considering that it looks like right now our veteran wide receivers, meaning that they've been there for longer than a year. Randall Cobb, Sammy Watkins just got there, so I think Sammy Watkins isn't really a Packers vet. He's got to learn the ropes still.
Yeah.
Amari Rodgers, who was drafted last year and was kind of disappointing with this last season. And then Alan Lazard. Alan Lazard will show him the ways a little bit, but yeah, it's kind of going to be up to Randall Cobb primarily. But that's kind of Randall's job there. Randall's one of those guys that obviously, I mean, if you watch him play football, he's a talented guy.
100%.
But he's more of a role player and a guy who's there to teach the younger guys and to instinctify, what's going forward. how the franchise looks going forward from the wide receiver position. He's more like another coach on the field.
Yeah, hopefully,
even though he's just a really good playing coach.
Hopefully, for your sake, Aaron Rodgers can check his ego a little bit and help, this guy grow a little bit, like a little bit faster. So
I think he will. Aaron was the first person to text him.
Good deal. I mean,
I saw that on Twitter the other day.
That is huge deal for the Green Bay Packers and for you as a Packers fan as well. So next up in the NFC North here is the number 2 overall pick and the Detroit Lions. How do you think they did in this year's draft?
Well, the Detroit Lions, absolutely. They got a one of these, a fastball right over the plate. And normally with the Lions, it's a swing and a miss. But this year they swung, they made contact, and the ball went a good 400 feet. It was a home run for sure. It was a great draft for them. The fact that they even got Agent Aiden Hutchinson at number 2 startled me. But I did predict that. I was talking to my friends before. I was like, that's up to greater powers. He played high school ball in Michigan. He's from there. He played college ball at Michigan. It really only makes sense if he goes to Detroit. So I think Aiden Hutchinson, without saying it, probably told the Jaguars to kick rocks, without telling them to kick rocks. He probably said like, hey, go screw yourself. I'm going to the Lions. So that was the fact that they even got him. He was the number 1 player in the draft, in my opinion, at least for right now. So the fact they got him at 2, that was huge. Then they also went with Jameson Williams, and I thought that was a pretty interesting pick because Jameson's a guy who was at Ohio State, transferred down to Alabama, and had a really good season with Alabama, got hurt in the national championship game, and haven't really heard or seen much of him since because he's been hurt. He hasn't been able to go, and do those combine workouts and all that. So he kind of disappeared. So when I saw him get picked with that 12th pick, I was like, oh yeah, Jameson Williams is in this wide receiver class. So it was kind of like a refresher there for Jameson, but I was excited about that pick too. I think they're going to have a really good offensive setup. They're going to have Amon-Ra St. Brown, who's already a dog. I mean, that last year was nothing short of incredible, in my opinion. I think he did great. They've got TJ Hawkinson, big boy Hawk, at the tight end position, and he's a top 5 tight end in the league, in my opinion. Could be top 3 with some more development. They've also got DeAndre Swift at the running back position. Once again, another really underrated back who can be your every down back if he can stay healthy. He's just he's a unit. He can't get touched. He's so small, quick, and shifty. He's incredible in the passing game. So, yeah, I think their offense is really shaping up. Another big thing here, the 2nd round pick at 46, Josh Paschal out of Kentucky. That was huge. I did not see this guy lasting that long on day 2. And he made it to the Lions again, and they didn't blink an eye. So they're going to have 2 defensive ends now coming from both sides who are rookies too, by the way. Might I add that? So they're both young, and they're going to be there for at least 4 years. And they're going to have Hutchinson on one side. Hutchinson's never leaving. Hutchinson's one of those guys that he's going to spend his entire career. If the Lions are okay with it, he's going to spend his entire career with the Lions. Like he is. I don't ever see him leaving there. He was so happy to be there. He was so excited. It's his childhood team. It'd be like me getting drafted to the Packers. It'd be a dream come true. So, for them to get him and Josh Paschal, that's going to be a mean pass front. Kirby Joseph out of Illinois was a nice pick with the safety position. They also got another tight end to fill the depth there with James Mitchell out of Virginia Tech. That was a big one. And then for the rest of it, they just kind of filled on defense. They went with Malcolm Rodriguez out of Oklahoma State at the linebacker position. James Houston out of Jackson State. That was another nice depth filler. And then with the 7th round pick, they got Chase Lucas out of Arizona State, the cornerback. Overall, like I said, I think they really hit it out of the park. I think this is one of the best Lions drafts that's been in my lifetime. It's a good one. It's up there. It really is. It's like a
right.
I'd say a Stafford. It's a Stafford-esque draft. Yeah. I was very impressed. So I gave my draft grade for the Lions as well was an A.
It's funny that you put TJ Hawkinson as a top 3 tight end in the NFL, and then they drafted a tight end in James Mitchell there from from Virginia Tech. That kind of scratched my head a little bit, just because like I didn't think they needed that spot filled. It was almost of like a wasted pick. But you said they added depth to that spot, like obviously. But do you think James?
I'm pretty sure they. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead. It's all you, boss.
I'm pretty sure. I was just adding to your point. I'm pretty sure they only have 2 tight ends on roster before this pick. I think this was their 3rd tight end.
So you
But
think
anyways,
they need the 3rd tight end in this type of offense? I mean,
Yeah.
It
I mean,
doesn't quite
especially
make
with,
sense.
with Hawk. Yeah, well, Hawk's kind of injury prone too. That's been a big issue with him. That's been the reason why he hasn't became a top 3 tight end yet. I think was just the kind of the injury history with Hawk. So with him being able to work through that, it also gives you another guy. You know, I think James Mitchell is a nice tight end. I think he's really good at what he does. So to be able for Hawk to come off the field and still have a solid guy out there, as well as, like I said, he adds that depth that somebody else you can have in your locker room for if Hawk goes down, or like I said, if Hawk's tired, or if you just want a 2 tight end setup, Hawkinson and James Mitchell, I would be fine with that if I was a Lions fan. So I think it's a 5th round pick. It's just one of those depth picks. They're there for depth and filling a void in the roster.
True. So our man Drew just jumped in the chat here. Says Wyatt. So what's up, Drew? It is good to see you here.
On, Drew?
Just this morning, but I want to look at the 6th round pick and Malcolm Rodriguez, an inside linebacker from Oklahoma State. Obviously, I am a Big 12 guy, so I got to see this kid play a lot. This kid is going to be a dog, Wyatt. If this kid gets an opportunity to start, he will be a staple in the Detroit Lions defense for many, many years to come, and he is going to wreak havoc on your Green Bay Packers. So remember that name, Malcolm Rodriguez, Wyatt. He is going to get at least 5 sacks. He is going to get 5 sacks on Aaron Rodgers this year if he makes this team. I'm just putting it out there right now.
Okay.
So
and then,
go ahead.
And then I got I forgot to mention my top pick. My top pick, I was really strung between the top 3, especially Josh Pascal. Really, the defensive end.
I love Josh Pascal. Josh Pascal.
Yeah, I do too. But in the end, they got the best prospect in the draft at number 2. So I feel like I can't not put Hutchinson as my top pick for them. So I got Hutchinson. As much as I wanted to go with Pascal, and I think he's their best sleeper pick, and I think he's their 2nd best pick. Hutchinson, like I said, the fact that he was even there at 2, and how big of a difference maker this guy is going to be, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be really incredible to watch this guy play football. I mean, if he continues at the rate he was in college, he's going to be a star.
Let me go out on a limb and say, if Pascal played for LSU or Alabama or Georgia, he would have been a 1st round pick. So I'm just going to put that out there.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
He is a great kid.
That.
So our 3rd team here, Wyatt, in the NFC North, are the dreaded purple team, the Skull Nation, Minnesota Vikings. Right? They went 8-9 last season. How do you think they did in this year's draft?
Well, this year's draft, I was pretty high on all NFC North teams except for one. So with that being said, I gave A to the first 2. So there's only 2 left. So only one of them's got to have a bad draft. So we'll start with the picks here. So at number 1, they had Lewis Sign out of Georgia. It's a good safety addition. That was that 32nd pick there. They had traded down twice. And I would say they did more with accumulating picks for next year and accumulating picks for this year with adding depth and stuff. I mean, if you look here, they had 2 2nd round picks, they had 2 5th round picks, they had 2 6th round picks. So that right there off the chart shows that they're adding picks for this year. But on top of that, they added some for next year because they were at pick 12. They traded back to like 20 something, and then they traded back again to 32nd. So for them making all these moves, they accumulated more picks. So that right there automatically kind of, boosted their draft grade a little bit for me. Other than that, there's not really much that jumps off here to me. Like I said, I like Sign. I think he's a good safety. And I think he's a difference maker for them. I think he will be a difference maker for them. And Andrew Booth out of Clemson, the cornerback. I think he was a day one guy. I was really surprised that he fell out of the first round. I thought he was another first round cornerback, but like I say, he fell out. So for them to get him there, that's why I gave that my top pick for them. Because like I said, they got a day one guy on day two. Anytime you do that's huge. That's really huge. So also on top of that, they added some offensive line depth with Ed Ingram out of LSU. So all in all, I really thought first and second round was good. And even I would say the third round was really good with Brian Asamoah out of Oklahoma. Nice linebacker there. That's only pick 66. So still you're getting a quality guy. But from then on is kind of where I lose it. Let's see here. I can't even say his name. Akaleb Evans. He's a good cornerback, good depth guy, but nothing really jumps off. And then same with the rest of the way down. Ty Chandler, I like that pick out of North Carolina, the running back. I think that adds some depth, but it also didn't really make sense because they've already got Dalvin Cook, they've got Alexander Madison, and then they've got one more behind that. I don't remember who the third string running back is for them. But this will be the fourth running back they're adding on roster. But same, once you get to that fifth round, sixth round, you're really kind of just getting the best guy on the board / the depth that you need. It's one of those two things. So maybe this is a move by the Vikings that they're saying like, hey, we're moving on from one of those three running backs. So it's not going to be Dalvin Cook, and I don't think it's Alexander Madison. So whoever that third guy is, like I said, I don't remember off the top of my head, but I think they'll probably be moving on from him. Jalen Naylor out of Michigan State with the 6th round pick. Once again, another guy just to add depth to an already really good wide receiver room. I will say, I think they added some good work here with Naylor for the wide receiver room because they've already got Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen. So I think that was a nice addition to throw into that mix. And then Nick Muse out of South Carolina with the 7th round pick. I gave him a B+ overall, and like I said, my top pick for them was Andrew Booth out of Clemson, the cornerback. But I would say their picks were a B, but because they had done so much trading back and accumulated those picks and still got some guys that the Vikings I think really needed and filled some holes that they needed, especially at the cornerback and safety position, and the offensive line positions as well. Since they made some of those moves, I gave him a B+. I gave him a B+ overall, but don't get confused. The plus on the end of that B is for the trading back. It's overall it's a B, but like I said, I gave him a B+ for the trading back. I think they accumulated some good things for the future.
I feel like they are building for the future because this is a make or break year for Kirk Cousins because next year the quarterback class is supposed to be fairly good, right? I mean, obviously it's way too early to predict that, but do you think they are preparing to move on from Kirk Cousins next year by moving back so much in this year's draft and accumulating all those picks?
Possibly. I mean, they signed Cousins this offseason to a deal, I think for 1 or 2 years, something like that. So nothing for the long term, nothing like his first deal that was 3 years and 80-something million. It was the highest paid deal ever by a quarterback. For a guy who's solid but not great every game. He's gonna give you the production, but he's not the best quarterback in the NFL money. That's for sure. But Kirk's a good quarterback. He's all right overall. So I don't know. I think they could move on from him. They got a nice guy at number 2 there. Kellen Mond last year got drafted in the 2nd round out of Mississippi State. I think that was a nice addition for them.
I totally forgot about him.
I don't know. Maybe they can move on. Yeah, no, Kellen Mond's a dog.
Yeah, I totally forgot about him.
So, yeah, he could. I think he could possibly pick up the reins going forward. I was kind of surprised when they brought back Kirk for this year. I thought that this year might have been the year where they had cut ties, but then again, he did kind of heat up there at the mid and end of the season a little bit. Kirk did so. I think he kind of earned himself another year on the contract, and it wasn't time for them to cut ties yet. Obviously, if he keeps him, if he puts him in a playoff team and stuff like that, you're not gonna move the quarterback if he's got you to playoff spot. That's the same situation the 49ers are in right now. They're like, oh, we just drafted Trey Lance last year with the 3rd overall pick, but this other guy, old Jimmy G here, is getting us to almost to the Super Bowl every year.
Yeah,
so it's like we can't move on from a guy who's getting us to the NFC Championship every year at the Super Bowl. But I guess they still want to, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe they can move on in the next couple of years. Yeah.
Yeah. So only time will tell. So speaking of only time will tell, the dreaded, we can't say dreaded, the NFC's last team, or the NFC North's last team that we're going to talk about here. The dreaded Chicago Bears, right? Tell me about their draft, Wyatt.
Hot, stinky, smelly, trash. It was horrible. Absolutely horrible. If we scroll back up here to the Minnesota Vikings, if you look at their second round pick 42, Andrew Booth Jr. out of Clemson, I just talked about him. He was my top pick for the Vikings. He was on the board. First off, you need a wide receiver. You need somebody for Justin Fields to throw the ball to. You just lost Allen Robinson. What is Darnell Mooney going to be your guy? I mean, Darnell Mooney's all right.
They picked the guy from the Chiefs.
Huh?
They picked the guy from the Chiefs. What's his name?
I think I got McCole Hardman, but McCole Hardman.
No. They got Byron Pringle.
Oh, was it Pringle?
Yeah.
I thought they got McCole Hardman too.
They got Byron Pringle.
Oh, but still, I mean, it's not a number one guy. You know,
what? Don't you dog my dude from Kansas State, baby? my cats, baby. Don't be dogging my boy. No, go ahead.
Just overall, I was real confused. I mean, it's like Kyler Gordon there at the 39th pick. Kyler Gordon, I thought should have been a third round pick, maybe a late second round pick. And then everybody's like, okay, they went cornerback at 39. That's because at 48 they're going to go wide receiver. Everything's fine. But then the Bears fans realize that they're the Chicago Bears and they screw everything up. And they went with safety Jaquan Brisker out of Penn State. And it's like the biggest move ever. Everybody's like, what's going on here? It was a Bears draft. That's what it was. Hey, we're going to have a great defense, but God, our offense is going to be trash. I mean, our defense is going to have 31 picks this year, but you know what? By God, we're going to average a touchdown a game. That's it. That is it. We're giving Justin Fields nobody to throw to. Nobody. He can have nobody to throw to. But speaking of nobody to throw to, with the third round pick, this is when they finally, I guess, wised up. I don't know what happened. I don't know if somebody hit Virginia McCaskey over the head and she woke up. But they picked a wide receiver at round 3, pick 71. Velus Jones out of Tennessee. This is kind of an underrated pick, I think. Although it's the Bears and they'll find a way to screw it up. I'm sure of that. He adds a lot of route running to the team, as well as he's a really good special teamer. Like his return skills are going to add huge to this team. And the Bears are already big on returning, returners that are good. I mean, you look at Devin Hester, they've always had good returners. So them picking him here, I think, was them going with a guy who can be on offense as catching the ball, but also catching kickoffs too and catching punts. So I think this adds a kind of multi-dimensional thing to the offense here. He's a guy you can use in the end around game. And you can use him, like I said, in the return game. He can catch passes really well. So that was my top pick for them. But then after that, it's just there's nothing really else there. They didn't have another pick until the 5th round again, which is where they had 2 picks. And they got Braxton Jones and Dominique Robinson, 2 guys that are all right, add some depth to the O-line, D-line, your guys in the trenches. At 6, they got another offensive lineman there in Zachary Thomas. At another 6th round pick, they got Tristan Ebner out of Baylor, the running back. Then they added 2 more offensive linemen, a safety, and then a punter to close it off. Overall, and I feel like people are going to think I'm biased for this, but it's really not biased. I think the Bears were the only team in the NFC North that did trash at the draft. I think the Packers did really good, even though it looked like they were going to screw it up. It really looked for a second. I was nervous for a second, like, oh man, we really jacked this up. Then the Lions, they got an A as well. Minnesota Vikings, like I said, I gave them the B+. I'll tell you what, man, I was gonna give the Bears a C+, but I'm gonna go ahead and delete that plus. I'm gonna give them a C. Like I said, I wasn't a big fan. I think they had 1, maybe 2 good picks. I think they filled some depth spots where they needed. But other than that, they just went with the wrong guys at the wrong times. It was a total Bears draft. It was a we're going to build up our defense. We're going to have a great defense. But like I said, our offense, it ain't going to move the ball. It is not going to move the ball. All scoring we do is going to be relying on the defense getting pick sixes and scoop sixes.
So, Wyatt, let me ask you this question. Are you able to see the comments here?
I cannot. I can't even see you.
Well, yeah, because for some reason my camera is not. But, okay, so we'll get you admin rights to get comments. But first of all, Nana says, good morning. She has popped in finally. Drew has popped in as well. And then my man Beastie decides to chime in as you are talking about the Chicago Bears, and you are dogging them 100%. But Combs says they signed Byron Pringle, St. Brown, and they got Jones from Tennessee. He's got weapons. How many weapons did the Packers get $50 million to replace the best receiver in football that they let walk away? So basically, Combs is saying that Pringle and St. Brown are just as good as Devontae Adams is. That's kind of what I got out of it.
Did they get Equanimous? Did they get Equanimous St. Brown?
Yeah, they signed him shortly after they signed Byron Pringle. So
I did not even know that they got him, but still, it's the Packers. Okay, that's great, Combs. I love you, man. But you got a guy on our team who didn't even start last year, and he'll probably be your wide receiver 2 or 3. Like that guy didn't even play for us last year.
Yeah.
So congratulations.
Combs,
you got a 3rd round receiver. You got a 4th round receiver, and Pringle was what, a 4th round receiver?
Pringle may have been later than that. But he is from Kansas State, and we do know that Kansas State receivers take about 4 years to develop in the NFL. Look at Jordy. Look at Tyler Lockett. Byron Pringle. This is his 4th year, right? I mean, this could be his breakout year, and maybe that's what he needed. Maybe he needed a not-so-good quarterback in Justin Fields and a terrible offensive line for the Chicago Bears to excel. No?
To decide that he's going to be good. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah. I never thought about it that way. Yeah. Whenever you think about it that way, it changes absolutely nothing.
So why there are people out there that sometimes they just don't need pressure to excel, right? When is trash Lamar Jackson good? When they're out of the playoffs and then he can just run around like with the head cut off, and then he can excel and look like an MVP caliber quarterback. Byron Pringle did some good things at Kansas City. The problem was he was just the 4th, sometimes 5th receiver on that team. So if he gets a chance, because he will probably be a number 2 receiver in Chicago behind Darnell. I can't forget his
Mooney.
Yeah, so he will probably be a number 2 receiver. And Justin Fields does have a good quarterback skill, right? He has the mechanics. He has the mindset. He just needs the time.
Fields isn't the problem. I don't think Fields is the problem at all. And I'll give Combs Darnell Mooney. I think Darnell Mooney is a good wide receiver, and I think he's a good key piece to their offense. But just like other than that, there isn't much there. I mean, they got Montgomery at running back, and they still got Khalil Herbert though. So they got a nice running back crew, but they don't have the offensive line to make the pushes that they need. They don't really.
David Montgomery is not a running back. Why do they consistently put him there?
He's a good running back.
Then why is he no longer with the Packers? Why is he no longer with the Saints?
No, not Ty Montgomery. David Montgomery.
Okay, I'm sorry. My mistake.
Ty
Ty Montgomery's with the Jets now, right?
Yeah. No, Ty Montgomery's not a running back. Ty Montgomery was good when he was with Aaron Rodgers, but then after that, it's kind of like, nothing really happened after that. But no, they got David Montgomery, who's a nice back. I'm really a big fan of him. I'm curious to see if they're going to pay him this coming off season.
Bears don't pay
That's
anybody.
kind of the Bears MO. Is like, they don't really pay the big running back there, and they wait, and then they get another guy to just kind of throw in there. I mean, that was the thing. They let Matt Forte walk.
Yeah. Forte wasn't a big. So running backs, why are kind of a dime a dozen, right? You use them, abuse them for 3 or 4 years, and then you let them walk, right? Yeah. Zeke basically should have never signed that big deal.
Zeke should have. Zeke is the smartest man on earth. The Cowboys are idiots, though.
Well, yeah, I mean, because they're not using him right. But King Henry, yes, he's been great the last 3 years, right? Fourth, fifth year, boom. I'm just saying, like, I don't think running backs. There are a few running backs out there like Zeke. Maybe Saquon, if he could ever stay healthy, that really deserve those big contracts. But really, if you look at it, we are in a 1-2 punch running back league now, so you really can't pay a running back big money.
Yeah, you look at that. I mean, you look at Zeke, Tony Pollard, you look at A.J. Dillon, Aaron Jones. Miami's got like 4 backs that could all
Chubb
start
and Hunt.
day one.
Yep.
Chubb and Hunt. You look at San Fran's got several running backs that could start. For the longest time, Seattle had Rashad Penny and Chris Carson. Now they've kind of narrowed it down to Chris Carson, but still kind of go to – I mean, last year they went to Rashad Penny a little bit.
Right.
So, yeah, it's kind of the 2 running back system going. It seems to be you get your elusive guy, you get your speed guy who's, your speed and elusive guy, and then you get your power back.
Right.
You get your receiving back, elusive, all that stuff. Your Aaron Jones. He can run the ball. He can catch the ball. He can go around you. He can, all that stuff. He can juke you out. But then you get your A.J. Dillon, who's a sheer snowplow tank. And he just, like, literally lowers his shoulder and puts you on your butt.
True.
That's his sole purpose.
So,
I love it. I love watching that guy play football.
So, Wyatt, you have officially been back on the Man Hour for 1 hour and 45 minutes here. And Combs said, "I can't wait to watch the Packers go 6-11 and watch you cry. You want to bet your hair on it?"
I'm not betting my hair on it, but I can promise you, there's no way we win less than 10 games.
Less than 2 hours. There's already a hair bet.
Yeah, that's what happened.
All right,
no,
so
I think there's no way we win less than 10 games. Like I said, you clip that all you want, and if I'm wrong, play it back, and I'll let Combs clown on me all he wants. But there is no way, with the best quarterback in football for the last 2 years, that we're not gonna at least win 10 games. That's not gonna happen.
And then nailing the draft too, because you added depth on the defensive side. You got your receiver. Yeah.
Yeah, I was nervous about the defense because we lost a lot on defense. That was really my main worry was excuse me. Obviously wide receiver, I was kind of like, dang, like, obviously we lost Devontae. That was huge. But you're not going to replace Devontae.
Right.
But Devontae is already 29. Devontae is almost 30, and that's whenever we see the decline in wide receivers is when they hit that 30 mark. That's when the decline starts. So the Packers normally know at the best time to move on from wide receivers as well. So I think that is a possibility, but I was really worried about the defense. We lost Darius. Adrian Amos still hasn't re-signed yet. There was just a lot of key pieces that we lost on the defensive side because of financial situation. Like, we couldn't pay them. So when we were able to bring back Devondre Campbell, that was huge. I was so happy about that. That's an all-pro linebacker, Pro Bowler guy who's just a great wide receiver. Jesus, great linebacker for us. Who you can throw anywhere in the linebacker core. He can blitz me outside. He can play the inside, be a run stopper. He drops back in coverage. Like, he does everything we need him to. And then on top of that, we went and we drafted Quay Walker, who's another guy like that. He can play inside linebacker, outside linebacker. We re-signed Kenny Clark. Then we draft Devontae Wyatt. I'm buying a Devontae Wyatt jersey, by the way. I mean, how could I not? It's a Packers jersey that'll have my name on the back, and I don't even have to buy a custom one. So now it's completely worth it.
You need to hit up what's his name? The guy that hosts on our show sometimes. His name's slipping my mind, but he gets jerseys for cheap. My bad. I'll let you know.
Okay, yeah. And then, like I said, we added so many great defensive pieces in the draft and through re-signing and through free agency that I think we're gonna have a really, really good defense next year.
So you are getting trolled hard in the comments here. Typical Packer fan, Aaron Rodgers is overrated. Won Super Bowl. Yada yada yada. You can jump on Facebook and check all the comments here.
Is it Combs?
Of course it's Combs. You know how he is.
It's all Combs.
And Andrew as well. He says they allow walkers on the field now. So Tom Brady's older, but we digress from that. So we have broke down the NFC North draft grades here, Wyatt. So if we flash back to 2021, the Packers went 13-4, Vikings went 8-9, Bears went 6-11, Lions went 3-13-1. 2022 is a totally different year, but who wins the NFC North way too early?
Green Bay Packers. I don't think it's close either. I don't think that there's like a. I think the Lions are on their way up to contending. I think they're making some good moves. Mm-hmm. And they have for the last couple of drafts. They've been starting to kind of pick it up. They got Campbell now, so they've got the coach they want.
Right.
They really just need to solve the quarterback position now, or maybe Jared Goff's the answer. We'll see this year. But and then Chicago, they don't have any weapons for Justin Fields to throw to. And Justin's still young. Justin still needs some time to develop. So there is that. And then you look at the Vikings. Oh, the Vikings are the Vikings. They're the same. They're the same as the Bears. The same as the Lions.
They're always a 500 team.
They're gonna find a way. Like it's the NFC North teams not named Green Bay Packers always find a way to screw it up. I mean, except for in 1985. In 1985, the Bears figured it out. But then after that, it was over. They couldn't do it again. Buddy Ryan left. The ship sank, and it all went down from there. So, I mean, when you look at it, the NFC North has, 5 Super Bowls, and only one of them is not from the Packers?
Yeah.
I'm not worried about it.
So you had the Packers winning the division. Combs has the Vikings. He has the Vikings, Bears, Lions, and Packers in that order. I'm going to go out on a limb and say the NFC North is the worst division in football this year. I want to pick the Detroit Lions. I wanted to pick them to go 13-4, right, and win. But this is the Packers division to lose. I mean, Combs says the Packers screwed up every year, but they win the division every year. They screw up in the playoffs. The playoffs is when the Packers screw up. They win
the regular season.
Yeah, they win a lot of regular season, and they're going to win this regular season. As of right now, way too early. May 3rd. Packers win the division. Wyatt has the Packers win the division, and Combs says the Vikings, which is not a bad pick. If Kirk Cousins play the way he did the latter part of the season, they have a very good opportunity to win the division. It's just I don't see it happening. It's definitely Packers to win 100%. He says Packers have 4 wins. Is Combs drunk at 8:00 in the morning? What is wrong with this
drinking
kid?
this early? How about last year though? Last year I said the Packers were going to go 13-4, and Combs is like, no, you're off your rocker. You're crazy. They're not winning. They're not winning. What was it? I think he said they weren't winning 10 games. I think he had us at like 9-7, something like that. And I'm like, Combs, we're still gonna win. We win 13 every year. We're gonna win 13. Don't you worry about that. We always win the double-digit amount.
They are guaranteed almost six wins a season, right, for sweeping the division. But Wyatt, this is your first show back. Welcome back, man. Tomorrow, guys, we are going to break down the AFC North draft grades. That's the Browns, Ravens, Steelers, and the Bengals. So we got that coming for you guys to coming tomorrow. We got a phone call with BC Combs at 7:15 East Coast time, and then we got burning questions for us tomorrow, Wyatt. So the fans ask us some burning questions, and you give us straight answers. I mean, not swotted answers, not LBGQ plus answers, straight answers, Wyatt. We don't want no waffling around. We want the straight answer. But Wyatt, any closing thoughts before we head out, man?
I remember this. This is the part where you mute me.
Not anymore. We have grown. We have matured. We only have poop jokes. So.
No, I'm glad to be back. Glad to be back.
All right, man. So, guys, as always, head over to manhourradio.com. Check out the blog section. Check out the merchandise section. I got a Nana shirt coming because I am the favorite grandson now. So it actually says, Nana is my favorite and has a picture of her face right here, Wyatt, right here in the middle of my chest.
I can't see you.
Everybody else can. But guys, before we head out, mental health is a real thing, guys. So if you ever have any type of, thoughts in your head and like whatnot, and you need to talk to somebody, hit me up on Twitter at manhour_buck. I lost a really good friend just this past night for committing suicide because he didn't have anybody to talk to. I did not open up my door to that particular person, and it sucks, and it eats me inside. So if you guys ever have any issue, want to talk about anything, want to talk about your dog farting in bed like my dog did last night, hit me up on the Twitter machine. Dog farts are terrible, Wyatt.
The worst.
The
absolute worst.
The worst. But guys, that is it for Man Hour. We'll see you guys tomorrow, same time, same place, 7 a.m. East Coast time. I will work on YouTube tonight after I wake up. I'm getting ready to go to bed. All the good stuff. The boy said, Buck, come over, Daddy. River's naked. Imagine that.